How you doing? This is Java Jim with First Line Equipment, and here in New Jersey, especially northern Jersey, everybody says, how you doing? How you doing? So how are you doing? Hopefully fine. Comment down below if you're doing good. If you're not doing so great, go to the competitor's YouTube channel and comment over there. How about that? Anyways, today's tech tip for you is brain units for espresso machine, also known as auto refill or auto water refill, circuitry, electronics, different terms by different companies, by different manufacturers. And lo and behold, I've been doing this 24 years and I still learn something. And last week, what I learned was there was a customer who had a brain unit that went defective. And typically, just explain, what does the brain unit do? Actually, let me start before. Where will you find these brain units? You will, oh, there's a ghost in here. Uh-oh, it's following me. Anyways, brain units are typically found on heat exchange machines to monitor the amount of water in the boiler. They're found also potentially in PID espresso machines, which don't have to be heat exchangers. They could be your standard espresso machines where you have a switch for the steam. So you might find brain units there. You will also maybe find brain units where there are buttons on the espresso machine that control how much water goes through the group head and then shuts it off automatically. Those are known as full automatics. And you will also find brain units in dual boiler espresso machines, and in many of the dual boilers, if not all of them, because the steam boiler or the thermoblock or whatever has to be temperature controlled, as well as the water level monitored, especially if there's a heating element with a steam capacity to the steam boiler. So typically, when a brain unit dies, it usually means there'll be no heat to the boiler. You might get a clicking sound when you turn on a machine. It'll go click. The power light or the heating light may turn on and click right off. That usually indicates a bad brain unit. You may see brown markings up on the top portion of the label or any part of the label. That usually, if the machine is not working, indicative of a bad brain unit. You may also see, in this customer's case where we learned last week, the customer's pump on the espresso machine wasn't working. And the first inclination is not to think of the brain unit going bad, because usually everything else fails. But in this case, the pump was fine. It was basically the connection from the brain unit to the motor on the pump. And in this particular case that we learned with this customer, was everything else was working in the brain unit, but the electricity was not coming out to engage the pump. And in the 24 years I've been doing this, this is a learning. The first time I've seen this. And here at First Line, we don't just sell 10 or 20 machines. We have thousands and thousands of customers. We've seen a lot here. The techs have seen a lot. The sales staff has seen a lot. But this was a very interesting point to learn that the brain unit was defective only for that one area. And of course, it could have been the wire too. So typically you want to check the component that's affected, the heating element, if it's a heat connected to the heater. And here's like a heating element. So it turns off the on and off for the heat, turns on and off for the pump. Solenoid valves. There's a lot of control here, but typically when this fails, everything fails. So just keep in mind, this is not always the first thing you want to replace, but start checking the components that are affected. Now, if you watch some of my other videos over the years, I'm a big fan of G-Car, which is here. GMA is okay, but G-Car, which comes sometimes in these blue boxes, sometimes they don't come in any boxes. But you'll see the label up here. The other thing is customers call and they have a very old machine or a machine they purchased elsewhere, and they'll call or email and say, hey, is this brain unit compatible with my machine? Unfortunately, and most likely, the answer is no. Except the one thing that you have to look at is is a COD number, code, and it looks like an IP address. For those of you who don't know, an IP address is the numeric address for a URL or a server. And in this case, you have 9.1.23.11. So if you're looking for a brain unit, that's the code that you need to find for the alternate replacement. Now, you may see a G on the end that may or may not work or be compatible. A few years ago, we received a brain unit from a manufacturer that said at the end .go2. And interestingly enough, the O2 was for the plumbed-in only version, the O1 was for the switchable version, and the one without a 00 or without anything was for the tank only model. So even in that case, they're not cross compatible. There was actually a voltage difference that we learned. The amount of voltage that came out for the pump between the tank and the plumbed-in version. The switchable was slightly different as well. So these are the things to keep in mind when researching brain units. How you doing so far? Have a great day. This is Java Jim with First Line Equipment. You have any questions, comments, please put those down below. I will try to get to them. We are very busy. I am very busy. So I can't always get to them, but I will try my best, or a staff member here will. And please give us a thumbs up. Subscribe to our YouTube channel right there. And have a wonderful espresso day.